Matt Verderame, our guest from Fan-Sided. The Bears right now would have the 10th pick in the draft that goes to the Raiders next year.
Yep.
Who would you rather be?
The Raiders.
It's crazy.
Not even a question right now because they have the picks. They've got their own pick. They've got the Bears pick. Carr's better than Trubisky. I mean, Carr's not great, but he looks like Johnny Unitas compared to Trubisky, right? I mean, I didn't think it's an argument. I think the Raiders, it looks like they had a pretty good draft. Like, Jacobs can play. He's a really good running back, right? Like, their offensive line is good. Now, that being said, I don't want to make it out like the Raiders are going to the Super Bowl this year. I think the Raiders are maybe a 5-rated team.
From a football standpoint, to kind of segue in, I'm curious, everybody remembers you, of course. You played with the Ravens for a decade. You finished up with the Texans and the Jets, but you're a Raven. That's how everybody remembers you, and rightfully so. That defense had some dudes on it. I mean, whether it was you or Ray Lewis or Terrell Suggs, I mean, you're talking about not only Hall of Famers, but elite Hall of Famers. Of all the guys on those teams that were known for their toughness, who is the toughest dude on that team? Who is the guy that you're like, man, I wouldn't want to have to meet with that guy in an alley at 2 a.m.? Who is the toughest guy you were teammates with?
Let them have it. We let them have it at halftime, and it didn't get too much better in the second half.
So I'll lead actually with a comment from my father who said, my arrowhead of the game goes to 14 hands Cabernet Sauvignon. Got me through that atrocity of a win. I think that pretty much sums it up. Like, that's well said, Dad. You have to give credit where it's due. Ingram made a great play. He sold out. He was going to, if Locke had kept that ball and pulled it back for play action, Gordon was still going to get truck sticked. Like, Melvin Ingram was going to hit him 1,000 miles an hour and just hope for the best. And he hit him, knocked the ball free. And I give Bolton a lot of credit. A lot of guys would have fell down there. They would have just taken the ball, which would have still been great. He ends up spinning off and making a huge play. And I got to tell you, if they had let Denver go in there, the Chiefs would have lost that game, I think. They just could not do anything. That all said, that game, there were parts of that game that I really wondered, like, are the Chiefs, like, are they trying to lose this game? Yeah, obviously, of course not. But, like, there was a stretch, and they do a lot of rotations at the D-line anyway. There was a stretch in that game in the fourth quarter where the Chiefs played without any of their 4 main defensive linemen for, like, 8 straight plays.
What's the biggest, most intriguing storyline, in your opinion, heading into Week 18?
Well, I think it's probably whether or not the Raiders or the Chargers make the playoffs. The Raiders, it felt like they were dead in the water a month ago. They've gone through so much this year, and now all of a sudden they're winning in, and it's a home game in prime time. I think it might be a defining game, really, for Rich Bisaccia, who is the interim head coach. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? If they win that game, it feels hard to remove him. And then for the Chargers, they're a team that early in the year some people thought might be the best in the AFC. They struggled. Now they're trying to get back and get into the postseason, where I think they can be really dangerous if they get there. So there's a lot to look at. The Niners are trying to make it in the NFC. The Saints hoping they can sneak in. But I think that Raiders-Chargers Sunday night game is going to be fascinating.
Would the Niners be the most surprising postseason cut, in your opinion?
Yeah, look, they put themselves in a spot here. They've got to beat the Rams on the road. Now, they've beaten them 5 times in a row. They own the Rams, but they're also dealing with injuries at the quarterback position. This is a team where Garoppolo may or may not be able to play. He's dealing with that torn ligament in his thumb, the chip bone. Trey Lance got better as he went along against Houston, but if he plays against the Rams, he's going to have to be good the whole game. They're not going to be able to get off to a slow start. So if they don't get in, it's going to be sorely disappointing for any Niners fan, because that's a team that it looked as though as the year went on, they were just getting better and better and better.
I don't know what standard we're holding them to, but I'm just wondering, how do you view a 7-game winning streak in the NFL?
I view it as really hard to do. I don't care who you're playing. Look, are the Dolphins playing some of the weaker teams in the league? Yeah, they are, but they're beating them. The Dolphins were one of the weakest teams in the league at 1-7. So they've turned it around. I will say this. I think their defense is absolutely legit. I thought it was coming into the year. Didn't play well early. Their defense is knocking the hell out of people, whether or not it's a bad team, a good team, whatever. That their defense with Flores leading the way and then those corners, they can play. Now, I think offensively, are they a little limited in some ways? Yeah, they are. They are. But Waddle gives them some explosiveness. You always can get a chunk play with him. You know, they can get the ball in his hands in a variety of ways. So I do think the Dolphins, look, they got to scheme around the offensive line somewhat. All that's true. But they can win games. They're 8-7. They're sitting in a playoff spot right now. If they win out, they're in. So give them all the credit in the world. They make the playoffs. It's one of the great turnarounds in NFL history.